In the fast-paced world of the modern era, it's either go big or go home. But for small-time indie developers like myself, that's not always the case. Big ideas for expansive games are exciting, yes, but they're almost always doomed for endless days of development and lost motivation. No, where indie games shine the brightest is in the smaller titles, which is why I'm only giving myself 7 days to take a game from concept to completion. Before I get into the process, I want to explain myself a little. I get a lot of ambitious ideas for games that I want to make, but as a small-time developer, these ideas are often way too big for me to complete realistically. But I really do want to make a game and actually finish it. So I decided to give myself a self-imposed time constraint. 7 days to work on the game, and then I'd publish it, no matter what. Because I have a deadline to meet, I'm forced to keep my ideas small-scale and doable. And my idea for a small game I could make in this time span was a zombie apocalypse twin-stick shooter inspired by a little arcade game found in Stardew Valley called Journey of the Prairie King. It's a simple game with basic enemies, simple levels, and power-ups. It's the perfect small-scale game that I could definitely make in 7 days. So, here we find ourselves, at day 1. Immediately after getting the idea, I jumped into Sprite to start creating some art concepts. This is probably not the best way to start, but for me it helps to visualize what I want the game to look like, and it also makes me a little more motivated to get working on the game itself. After making a few sprites, I jumped into programming. I programmed some 2D top-down player movement that fits the game, and that's it. Day 1 was over and I had barely even started. One of the biggest challenges for me here was the time constraint. 7 days is already a small window of time to make a game, but on top of that I only had a few hours each day to work on this, since game development is just a hobby for me. So with this in mind, it's important to set goals for myself within my given time frame. I've heard that developing a game takes about twice as much time as you think it will take, so since I want the game done by the end of the week, I'm aiming to have a playable game by day 4, and then spend the rest of the time polishing the game up and making it look nice. Second day on this project, and I wanted to implement the shooting. I want the player to shoot with a pistol by default, but be able to upgrade to other guns as well. So I implemented the pistol shooting, which is pretty slow. Then I added a shotgun mode, which is a bit slower but fires 4 bullets. And a chain gun mode, which fires very fast. I want to add more guns like a sniper rifle, but for now I think this is enough. I then went on to start making the enemies. After all, what fun is shooting if there's nothing to shoot at? So I made a zombie. Their AI is very basic. All they do is track the player's location and move towards it. They're very stupid and they have no awareness whatsoever, but that's probably how a real zombie would act anyways, so it fits, I guess? Plus I don't have time to work on a pathfinding system anyways. I also made crates that can be destroyed, and explosive barrels. I want these barrels to blow up when you shoot them. But I'm out of time, and it's already day 3. I decided now would be a good time to start implementing some items. I had some basic ideas for some cool items that I added into the game. A stick of dynamite that can be thrown out and blows up after a few seconds. A boombox that distracts zombies and gives you time to run away. Bandages that will heal you to full health. And the briefcase. I don't know what the briefcase does. It just seems like it would have a cool item effect, but I haven't decided what I want it to do yet. With all of these items added, I went ahead and made pickups for these items as well as the guns. I also went ahead and added a main menu. It's just a stand-in right now, but it does the trick. It was here, staring at the bland, boring main menu, that I realized how silent my game was. So next I went ahead and started looking for music. Everything happening in silence was getting kind of old, and I have a bad habit of leaving sound design till the very end of development. So I searched online for some copyright-free music that I could use in my game, and I actually stumbled across Kevin MacLeod, a musical artist who makes tons of copyright-free music in many different genres. Pop, rock, jazz, horror, funk, silent film scores. I mean, he does everything. And it's all copyright-free, too. This man is a legend, and you've probably even heard some of his works. Anyways, I found a good song from his website to put in my game, though I do want to come back and look for more music. Today was the day that I needed to have a playable game by, and I had not even started to make a core gameplay loop yet. First, I realized that I had not implemented player health, a fairly large part of the game. A quick few lines of code later, and now the player can take damage and die, sending them back to the main menu. Next, I needed to complete the actual levels that the player will be playing. The idea is that the player will need to clear the level of zombies, and then they will continue on to the next level and clear that one, and so on, until they beat the game. So, I need a way to move to the next level. I made some doors that allow the player to move from one level to the next. Then, I made a game manager script that will manage the gameplay loop, like when zombies will start spawning, when to move to the next level, and so on. And with all this framework set up, all I needed now was some levels to play in. I quickly built 12 levels that I thought would seem interesting. But I'm gonna say right now, I am not the best at level design. Outside of making maybe a few levels a long time ago in Super Mario Maker, I have next to no experience in level design. But I tried to just make an interesting variety of levels with engaging elements, like explosive barrels or obstacles that you can shoot over. And for fairness, I tried to put at least 2 item crates on each level, but the number of zombie spawners can vary from level to level. With some real levels and actual gameplay loop, this game is actually starting to take shape. While I technically have a playable game now, there's currently no ending. I really wanted to make a boss battle or a cool cutscene for the end, but seeing as how I only have a few days left and I've only made it this far, just a simple level with an exit will do the job. You finish the wave on the final level, then to beat the game you just exit through the subway station. It's a bit anticlimactic, but it's a close to the gameplay loop. The game itself still felt like it's missing a few things. So I added a new enemy, the oozing zombie. They walk around following the player like a normal zombie, but when they get in range, they shoot a projectile that spawns a pool of acid, which damages the player. They'll also drop a pool of acid when they die. I took inspiration from the spitters from Left 4 Dead 2, and I decided to add these in because I felt like most of the gameplay so far was finding a safe spot to stand in, and then just shooting the zombies while they struggled to get to you. The oozing zombies prevent this from happening by forcing the players to move around to avoid the acid, keeping them on their toes. This makes the game significantly more dynamic. With a bit more time left in the day, I wanted to add one more power-up, the energy drink. Using it increases the player's speed for a short time. And I thought some more about the briefcase as well. I still got nothing. Maybe I'll figure something out tomorrow. Aside from the one music track I added earlier, the game has no sound. So I spent today working on sound design. I gathered some royalty-free sound effects and edited and changed them up for the game. I wish I was able to just make all the sounds myself, but at the end of the day, copyright-free sounds are faster, and I actually ended up getting some sounds for the game that I think fit pretty well. Adding sound design really makes the game feel like it's coming together. It adds an extra layer of polish to the game on top of everything else, and the game itself almost feels finished with all the sounds added too. I'm a little mad at myself that I didn't start on it sooner. I really do enjoy the sound design process, but by nature it's a little time consuming and best left for after you have most of the game completed anyways. I wanted to add more sounds, but I was really busy that day with other things going on in my life, and the day was over before I even knew it. I had a lot to do today and limited time to get it done. My end goal was to press the build button and finish making the game once and for all. First, I finished touching up some sound design that I didn't get to finish yesterday, as well as gathered up some more music for the game since one song can get pretty old after a while. I fixed some bugs that had been bothering me for a while and that I'd sort of had on the back burner. And then I finalized the menus. Main menu, pause menu, settings, game over, windscreen. They actually looked pretty solid for now, polished and finished for the final game. I wanted to add some animations as well, so I quickly whipped up some animations for the zombies to make them look more alive. I mean undead. I also animated the explosions for the dynamite and the explosive barrels, since before they were just big orange circles. But before I could get any further, some errors started popping up that I had never even seen before, and some bugs appeared that absolutely broke the game. I tried to fix these as fast as I could, but it still cost me a great deal of time. I was scrambling to get things done at this point. I kept finding things that were placeholders, or that I wanted to come back to later. The briefcase! Oh, I completely forgot about the briefcase! As much as I wanted the briefcase to be a really cool power-up or something, leaving it for later doomed it to be rushed in at the end, and I had to settle on it giving you invincibility for several seconds. It tore me up inside that I couldn't do more with it, but I was running out of time. With only a few hours left, I tweaked the difficulty of the game as I hadn't even really playtested it up until now. I quickly made 8 more levels, and time was up. And just like that, the game was finished. I think it turned out pretty well despite the time constraint. Since I wasn't able to do a whole lot of playtesting though, I think it's a bit more difficult than I intended it to be, and it's far from being a bug-free experience. But I think it's as good as it can be for being completed in 7 days. And if it weren't for the time limit, I'd probably still be working on it while being a lot less motivated. Like, don't get me wrong, boss battles and more weapons would be really cool, but those ideas and ambitions can spiral off the rails really quickly. I'm proud of what I made, and I'm happy I could make it in the time limit I gave myself too. On that note, the game is out now. It's called Rotten Luck, and you can check it out for free on itch.io or via the link in the description. It'd mean a lot to me if you could go check it out. And as much as I wanted to upload it to Steam, paying $100 to publish a small free-to-play game like this just isn't in my budget right now. Maybe someday in the future. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I don't really do outros, so